Okay, hi everyone, Daryl here. I'm just going to do this very short video blog or what some people call vlog. And then I'm going to go into like some explanation of some things which we've always been advocating to clients who purchase properties in Bangkok. Okay, there's this news that one of the relatively larger sized developer in Bangkok, and it's actually Ananda Development. They actually cancelled a project which they launched, and they've been asking agents like property agencies like our firm to uh, market their properties for them. And in fact, we even brought clients to this particular show flat in the last property tour that we just concluded in June. And it's quite disappointing because this project is actually Ideo Phahol Saphan Khwai, and it's actually they claim that it's 0 meters from Saphan Khwai BTS station, but apparently, uh, I mean, I have always said that there's nothing that is 0 meters from Saphan Khwai uh, BTS station. There's nothing 0 meters from the BTS station because if you're not on top of the BTS station, you definitely have to walk. So it's actually about 10 meters away from Saphan Khwai BTS station. And what they did was that they actually put the plug on this project, which means that they cancelled it all. So buyers who are in the market and they've already made any purchases, right? They are in the process of refunding all the deposits to these buyers. It's supposed to be about like 1,100 units which are up for sale, and they released like a third of it, and the third of it, this third of it was relatively well received. The first phase was sold out about like I think 60 or 70% sold out, but after that, they realized that maybe the demand in Saphan Khwai is not that high. So like I'm gonna show you guys where Saphan Khwai is. So we have this map. Anyway, I think this is the most accurate map there is for the Bangkok rail network. Okay, so Saphan Khwai is actually along this green Sukhumvit line. So this green Sukhumvit line, the BTS line, which is where tourists are normally familiar with. Uh, Most tourists they'll be familiar with places like Asok BTS because it's next to Terminal 21. Then they will always be familiar with places like Chit Dome because that's where Central World is, and then Siam is where Siam Paragon is. Okay, so from there, right, if you continue, then it will be Ratatouille, Payatai, Sanampo, Ari, then Saphan Khwai. So Saphan Khwai is here. So Mochi is where some people take, if they take the BTS line, they actually get off Mochi and then they get to Chatuchak. So in all honesty, Saphan Khwai is not too bad a location because it is actually located in the Chatuchak area, which is actually quite close to this Bangsar Grand Station, which is what we've always been highlighting to buyers. That is where the growth potential is, which is Bangsar Grand Station. But I have always been advocating that if you want to buy after Siam, you can look at Ratatouille, you can look at Payatai. Then for one reason or another, I don't know why, but myself, I never seem to find much interest in the area around Victory Monument, Sanam Pao, and Saphan Khwai. But Ari, right, if you go and take a look at where Ari is, it's actually a very popular location with the locals, and then now it has morphed into a area which is very popular with the expatriate community, and some tourists and foreigners are also going there. So we actually bring clients to Ari to take a look at properties in Ari. The rentals there are relatively strong. If you want to have something which is right off the fringe, like city fringe, not too crowded, and then a lot of cafes, hipster cafes, very nice places to hang out, very laid back environment that Ari is it. So I've always advocated that if let's say I were to purchase a condominium to stay, or I were to rent a condominium to stay, I would rather rent at Ari rather than Saphan Khwai. So, but the thing is that Ananda has launched this development which is right next to Saphan Khwai BTS station. It's not 0 meters, okay? It's actually like maybe 10 meters away from Saphan Khwai BTS station. So you still have to walk, which means that if it rains, right, if you don't have an umbrella, you can't get to Ideo Q, Phahol, Saphan Khwai, and they're here. So you see, people are still taking umbrellas, right? So it cannot be 0 meters. Okay, so that's something that's a little bit misleading, and I think Ananda has to really understand that they can't make such uh, like claims and then after that and get away with it. But that's the nature of how the Bangkok property market is. So like a big player like Ananda can just claim that it's 0 meters, but there isn't a regulatory body to go out there and tell them that, hey, this is actually a this is actually misleading information. Because if you look at this is where the BTS station is and this is where the project is, right? There is still a walk to the front of the of the condominium, so it's not 0 meters. But whatever it is, the development has already been cancelled, and then after that they are going to refund all the buyers' money. So if let's say you have bought a unit, right, and then after you have not been contacted, then please go and contact the salesperson who have sold it. It's actually very frustrating for people like ourselves because we sell the project, then now we have to go through the paperwork of refunding the monies back to the clients. But that's the right thing to do, and I'm actually chasing Ananda to do it at a much faster pace. So this is where Ananda suspends the condo project. Okay, so this is actually a page where this Ideo Q Phahol Saphan Khwai by Ananda is on our website. Okay, so yeah, so we actually have this walk from Ideo Q Phahol Saphan Khwai to the BTS station. So if you want to take a look at this project, but it's already been cancelled. Okay, so I'm actually going to go into this presentation whereby a lot of people have been asking like what makes a good developer. So in my personal opinion, this is not something that it's written in stone, but I think that you have to factor in these three criteria. I'm not going to list out a lot because then it's very difficult to follow. So you have to understand that if let's say the developer is new, then the sales and purchase agreement or the sales contract, right, may not be very clear and concise. So if you take a look at the sales and purchase agreement, it actually spells out the criteria. I mean the what happens if in the event the project is cancelled, then how will the monies be returned, and will there be compensation for the buyers, and if let's say the project is delayed, then what is the compensation that the developer is going to give to the buyers. That is something that you have to take note of in the sales and purchase agreement. So a good developer will give you a very clear and concise sales and purchase agreement. A good developer also has good track record, which means that if let's say you are looking at a project by a certain developer, that developer has already built a few different projects, and not only a few different projects, but in Thailand, right, it's very simple. In fact, in Bangkok, it's very simple. You go around, a large number of uh, projects, right, are all actually built by a small number of developers. So these developers are the larger, bigger boys. Okay, so they have good track record, but it doesn't mean that the bigger boys will always give you a good product. I'm just saying that they'll give you a good track record. So they have a good track record of completing the project and then handing it over, transferring the title over to all the buyers, whether it's local or foreigners. And then after that, they have very strong after sales support. So most developers, what they do is that they have an agency. In my opinion, I think that there is always a conflict of interest when you have you merge the two together. So that's why we ourselves we have developers who tell us that why not you sell the projects to us. So I'm a bit tired. So sell our projects exclusively, and then we try to refuse, because then we wouldn't be impartial in promoting the correct project to our clients. So but a good developer normally has very strong after sales support, which means that they actually have agents to do your rental or resale for you, uh, similar to what our agency does. And okay, so next is how you can actually protect yourself as a buyer. So whenever in doubt, right, you try to buy from a developer that is listed on the Stock Exchange of Thailand, the SET for short. So if let's say you want to know, so in publicly traded uh, companies, right, they are like for Ananda will be Ananda Development Public Listed Companies, so PLC. Then but for our firm, right, like let's say our firm is BKK Kong Yu, and it's a private company, so it's BKK Kong Yi CO dot comma then Ltd, so company limited. Okay, so uh, that is how you see. So you can also go onto the Stock Exchange of Thailand's website, and then you can see that their shares are traded. And uh, on their website, right, the financial statements will be made publicly available. So if you go to like recently, you've been dealing with some origin properties, right? So if you go to the origin property website, then you can see that you can actually download the financial statements and the reports, and then you can read them for yourself if you would like to invest in the company rather than to invest in their developments. Okay, then next, right, to protect yourself as a buyer is that you can always Google search for forums and feedback about a developer's past projects. So if you see that there's a lot of negative news about this developer, then maybe you try to hold back. Uh, in all honesty, right, we were actually holding back promoting this particular developer who just cancelled the project. But the thing is that because this project seemed value proposition, and then that's the main reason why we proceeded to promote it to some of our buyers. But anyway, we will always take responsibility, and uh, we've been chasing the developer to refund the monies already. And then what you can do is that you can protect yourself as a buyer is you can read the sales contract. So before you purchase, right, you have the right to say, I want to see a sample of the sales contract. It will be given to you. Of course, the sales contract, right, you cannot alter. You're not going to read the sales contract and then say that, oh, sorry, Mr. Developer, I don't agree with like clause number 12. Then I want you to remove this clause. The developer is not going to remove the clause. They'll just tell you, say, hey, please go home and don't buy from us if you want to remove that clause. That is the sales contract is actually firmed up already. They're not going to change it, but you can always read the sales contract to understand your rights as a buyer. So if you read something that you're not comfortable with, then please don't purchase, because I've always mentioned that uh, I myself find it very frustrating if let's say I promote something to a buyer, then the buyer call me every other day to ask, oh, is it okay? Is it okay? And then can you imagine if let's say like it's going to complete in like 2.5 or 3 years time, right? Then you're going to call me every day and you're going to think about it every night. Then what's the point? Making money doesn't need to be so stressful. Okay, and yeah, so you if you think the project is good, good investment, then you proceed. If you're not comfortable with it, then please don't try at all. Okay, and then you can always find out whether there is a representative office in your home country. So for markets like the Singapore market, Malaysia market, Hong Kong market, Chinese market, normally those larger developers, they will have a country representative. Then they will put them in an office in these places. Then next is that you can look for reliable property agents. Okay, so people like ourselves, our company, we're not saying we're the only ones, and actually we don't claim that. Uh, I mean, we don't go around shouting that we are very credible. It's just that our company takes pride in always recommending projects based on location and based on whether it's something that we think that the client will benefit from. So we try to be as impartial and agnostic when it comes to recommending uh, or trying to promote certain projects. Okay, so you try to look for reliable property agents. If you are looking to invest in Bangkok, right, most probably you would already heard about Bangkok from maybe a friend or relative of yours who has bought a Bangkok property and then would like to uh, like then that person tell you that maybe the Bangkok property investment is something that you can consider, then you just ask him, maybe you can recommend your property agent to me because he or she recommended you a project which you find beneficial. So I think that person is not bad. Why not you recommend that person to me? So of course you go ahead and find that person, and then that person can recommend you some other properties. But I always ask the agent, is it are you selling for this developer exclusively, or are you selling for all developers, which means that you are, because if the agent is selling that developer's project only, right, definitely they will only be pushing that developer's project, whether good location or not, right, they will also push that developer's project. Okay, in the market actually prices are all about the same for all agents out there. Okay, so and then if whenever you're really in doubt, right, then you try to engage a legal representative to answer your queries. So if in Thailand you can also find lawyers which will actually assist you in your property purchase, or to look through a sales contract to see whether your rights are well protected. So if you really are very scared of making an investment, right, with a developer and entering into a sales contract with a developer, then you look for a lawyer, because when you purchase that time, actually there's no legal representative. They are selling you a contract, right, especially for uncompleted projects. So they sell you the contract, then you're supposed to go and just accept the terms there. There's no lawyer on your end, and the developer's lawyer is already I mean, they've already drafted the contract, so they assume that all the buyers that come in to buy the project, right, they will all accept this sales contract. Okay, so you ask a lawyer, and then ask the lawyer to tell you what are the drawbacks of signing this contract. There's no perfect contract. The lawyer will definitely come back to you and say there's something wrong here, there, this one not in your favor, but this is actually expected. The developer is not going to write a sales contract, right, which is in favor of the buyer. So they will always keep and reserve their rights in the contract as well. So don't expect a contract which is insanely biased uh, in your benefit, but also it cannot be insanely biased in the developer's corner, right? So you ask your lawyer to advise you accordingly. Okay, so the question is, are only listed developers credible? My simple answer to this question is no. The main reason is that actually we've been dealing with many privately owned developers, and we find them also credible. So one of the privately owned developers which I think that is very credible and I've been working with is actually Siamese Assets. So if you guys have been following our YouTube channel, then you can actually see that from previous developments, you see that uh, you see that like Siamese Assets, their developments are very well furnished and well fitted. So sometimes, like I've always mentioned, like this developer is very good because even in the walkway, when you go into the the walkway to the rooms, let's say you buy a two-bedder, then there's a walkway into the rooms. Then that in the sales gallery, right, in the show flat, there's actually a cabinet that is there, but actually that cabinet is given standard. So when you take possession of your unit, right, that cabinet is actually there. And sometimes they also give you like a wallpaper. They also give you like custom made maybe dining table which is affixed to the wall, and it can be kept uh, by it can be stored away. Yeah, so like all these frills, right, are given by Siamese Assets. And are their prices expensive? No, their prices are not expensive. Very competitive to the market. And yet a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to buy because they are not a listed developer. Then I mean, we never try to convince them, because we also don't want to push projects whereby later the buyer keep calling us, say, hey, how my money, how. So I also cannot sleep if every day this person call me. Okay, so but that's why I always mention, if you are not familiar with Bangkok, but you think that Bangkok is somewhere which you want to invest your money in, but yet you are risk averse, then you please stick to listed developers. So listed developers will be like, I mean, a lot of them are placed on our website. I wouldn't mention because I mentioned one, I got to mention many. Okay, so we've been dealing with many listed developers. They've contacted us, asked us whether we would like to promote their stock. So recently also we've been, I mean, you can see from our channel, some developers have been asking us to feature their different grade products, like the luxurious grade, the middle grade, the mass market grade products. So we've been working with them to try to promote their projects. And some of them, they are quite fair, because they say, okay, if you think the location is good or whatever you say, then doesn't matter, it's not going to affect me. So I just want you to come and take a look at the project, and then give your honest opinion about the project. Then these developers, actually, uh, I I take my hat off to them, because they're being very impartial as well. So if, let's say, you really are afraid that the developer will run away with your money and all that, I'm not saying that listed developers won't do that, but for a listed developer to do that, right, I think the outroar will be very high, because there are many different shareholders. So they can't just close and fold overnight. Okay, anyway, financial statements are there for you to see. Okay, but actually, the Thai developers in general, they are doing relatively okay. I think they are sitting on a large pile of cash, because the past few years have been very kind to the Thai developers. The situation is that they've made loads of money since, I think, since the last financial crisis. Okay, so if, let's say, you are keen to uh, I mean, to see any of the projects that are listed on our website, then please contact myself, my colleague, or my colleagues. Uh, our contact numbers are actually listed on our websites. And yeah, so this is actually just a very short, brief explanation of what type of developers are credible, what you can do as a buyer. But the Ananda saga with Ideo, Phahol, Saphan, Khwai, right? It actually shows that uh, Ananda has to be credible enough to come out publicly and say that our project is actually cancelled. Then after that, they need to refund the monies to all the buyers in double quick time. And it's actually all stated inside the sales and purchase agreement, the sales contract. So it's something that you guys should take note of. It shows that uh, Ananda is not one of my favorite developers, just for your information, but I mean, it shows that there's some credibility there. And also, and one of the main reasons is that they are listed developer, because we've actually worked with developers which were not listed, right? And then their their course of action, right, is actually rather slow. Okay, so yeah, so just take note. And if you have anybody who actually bought a unit at this particular project, then please inform them the development is already cancelled if the salesperson had not informed them already. Yep, so that's all from me for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.